Yo, yo, what's Papino? What's Papino? Seek Black is in the building. Shout out to Unique Maker Audio from Prison Stories. He pulled up yesterday. Shout out to Mo. Shout out to people that was in the comments. They was asking questions. They was asking about was he incarcerated with some dudes, some sex money murder? Because Unique has done over 20 something years. So it sort of hit me to do this show. Plus, shout out to my man Mo from the Bronx, BX, Sex Money Murder, Blazing Billy. Somebody asked me, Zeke, why don't you do something on CB? So now, I'm going through the artifacts, I'm going through the files, and so I'm doing a double feature today. I'm doing the Cypress Boys accused of drug trafficking in 2016, and I'm doing the opening statements of some parts of CB from Sex Money Murder Fed case. The name of this show is Rumble in the Bronx. Remember that movie back in the days, a Rumble in the Bronx? It was in correct Hunts Point. Definitely shout out to all those that was outside. Shout out to the Bronx for those that was going to Whitestone Movie Theater, people in the concourse, shopping on Fordham, shopping on Third Ave. We're definitely in the building. The BX, this is for you guys. I knew about the Cypress Boys in the 80s because they named, yes. I knew about the Cypress Boys in the 80s. Definitely Smalls is in the building because of the 80s. You had the Wild Cowboys. We talk about the pandemic era. You had the Wild Cowboys. You had crews like the Cypress Boys. I was actually locked up with one of the Cypress Boys, actually, to be honest with you. Definitely shout out to my man from the Cypress Boys. Definitely BX pull up. Bronx pull up. You know what I'm saying? And so they was around. I have to say allegedly because, you have a bunch of men that's going to be fighting for their cases. So I'm going to say allegedly. But these guys is around. These are some of the more famous crews that came out of, that wasn't a part of what was called the heroin trade. You had crews that was getting money in that same territory, Brook Ave, Cypress Ave, St. Anne's, St. Mary's Park, that territory over there. You know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. And Millbrook, Patterson. We in the Bronx now, people. For the old good world, we're talking about some real BX shit right now. So a lot of these crews was around in the 90s, mid 90s, early 90s. And yes, well, it's sad. Let's talk about it. Exactly. About a certain portion of the Bronx. Now, we get into the get down, definitely shout out to East Harlem. Now, for those that don't know, you can walk across the bridge on 121st Street from Wagner Projects on First Avenue, and you can walk right across to the South Bronx. You can do that. You know what I'm saying? It brings you right there to the South Bronx. By Bruckner and all that other stuff, by the Bruckner, by Brook Ave and all that other. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, you're from East Harlem, Manhattan. That's one side that could bring you in. Then you have another side that could bring you in from by Lincoln Projects, 135th. You know what I'm saying? So definitely shout out to the BX, you hear me? Okay, Gary Harrison's in the building. Exactly. So now we're gonna go back to 2016. Debbie shout out to Spanish Harlem. All the crews that come out of Spanish Harlem. Flow Boys, PT 131, TDO, GNR, D57 from the Upper East Side though, TWB, HTS, East Side Lynch Mob, Jeff Mob, I mean Hector Mendez, East Harlem, we talking about East Harlem, the Renegades, 119th, Down Boys, Beats, Blue Top Mafia. You know what I'm saying? So now we get into the get down. So now, let's get to Cypress. You're going to Cypress Ave right now. This is what the Bronx is. This is 2016 though. This is 2016, so this is sort of updated information. I'm bringing y'all here from the Daily News. Y'all see where it's coming from, the Daily News. You might hear Fat Joe shout him out. You might have heard Kavis One shout him out. Patterson and Millbrooks projects, Casanovas all over. You couldn't stop this. The Long Last Crew, the Cypress Boys, the Real Rock Steady taking out these toys. So over the years, you may have heard some of your favorite rappers, probably Fat Joe too, scream out about the Cypress Boys. You know what I'm saying? I probably remember him. But this is in the Daily News.
Bronx gang members accused of drug trafficking. Violence arrested in series of NYPD raids. Cops took down members of 2 different gangs accused of trafficking in drugs and violence early Wednesday, law enforcement sources said. About 16 alleged gang members were grabbed up in a massive sweep at the Diego Beekman houses on East 141st Street and Cypress Avenue in the Port Moore section of the Bronx early Wednesday, the sources said. The alleged gang members were brought to the nearby 43rd Precinct for processing. The Cypress Boys, also known as the Trey Side, have claimed that section of the Bronx as their turf, but it was not immediately confirmed if the gang was the target of Wednesday's takedown. At about the same time, alleged members of a second gang were arrested in East Harlem. Interactive. Gangs of New York, and how close she lived to them. The takedowns follow a sweep that netted more than 90 people in both the Edenwald and Eastchester houses in the Williamsbridge section of the Bronx on April 27th. The April bust was considered the largest gang takedown in city history, officials said. On a mobile device? Watch the video here. Grayman at nydailynews.com. Renowned researcher Marty Martin, dubbed the ambassador of rattlesnakes.
So they spoke on they just spoke on the situation with the Cypress Boys, what just happened with them. For those that may not know, there's a guy named Pistol Pete. There's 2 of them that's famous. There's a bunch of them, but there's one that's really famous. There's someone from that side, from 141 in Cypress. He runs around with Fat Joe with the Kill All Rats movement. You know what I'm saying? So that's speaking about them. Definitely free all the Cypress Boys, the ones that got locked up. A good friend of mine got caught up in the Wild Cowboys case. A good friend of mine is called Rashid Rice. He got like 40 years for something that was crazy. That's his case, allegedly. And he's trying to get home. He had a co-defendant named Chulo. That's his co-defendant from over there on, I think, 138th in Cypress, though. The Beekman houses in Diego. And you might have heard stories about Fat Danny, Wild Cowboys. Those are those buildings. You know what I'm saying? Now, you're taking out show the Soundview right now, you heard? Shout out to Soundview Projects, Castle Hill, Monroe. Oh, God. We're taking it to the X. We're taking this where it needs to be taken. Soundview houses, you know. We're taking it where it needs to be taken now. A place that, for some weird reason, has allegedly a large percent of which is called sex, money, murder. You know what I'm saying? Feed the wolves. We're feeding the wolves. There's a Debbie shout out to Minnesota. There's a large portion of sex, money, murder in a certain area in the Bronx. I heard of Pistol Pete, but this is after Pistol Pete. This situation. CB. I'm gonna let y'all listen to what CB had to do. What's in the mix of doing. Okay? Somebody actually do something about CB. Shout out to Crown Courts TV with the information. This is CB's opening statement.
When I got in a car accident, it was my fault, but was I going to get totally screwed? You had status in the gang? You had access.
This is CB, Corey C.B. Brown, sex, money, murder trial, opening statements, Bronx, New York, Concourse TV a year ago.
Vincent Davis is dead because Corey Brown wanted him dead. Corey Brown and Josnell Rodriguez swore allegiance to a gang called Sex, Money, and Murder. That gang thrived on violence to control the drug trade in the Soundview.
Allegedly, Young Thug claimed Sex, Money, Murder. So this is how far they stretch. From the Boogie Down Bronx all the way to Florida. This is how far Sex, Money, Murder allegedly stretches. They have a strong influence for a man who's been sitting under the jail for at least the last 15 years in ADX. So there goes the influence of Sex, Money, Murder. Let's get back to the story.
In Castle Hill neighborhoods in the Bronx. These men each took an oath to put sex, money, and murder ahead of everything else. They took an oath to kill without caring, and that is exactly what they did. The evidence at this trial will show that Corey Brown ordered the murder of Vincent Davis. Davis was Brown's rival in Sex, Money, and Murder. Davis was a threat to Brown's power, and because of that, Davis was shot repeatedly while walking out of a cookout on a summer night in 2012. Davis was 32 years old. Now, Brown wasn't there that night, but he had been grooming the trigger man for months, and that night, he green-lighted the murder before it happened. Josnell Rodriguez was there that night. He was the lookout. He called the shooter to confirm where Davis was, and after the shots were fired, he hid the gun. That is why we're here. We're here because Corey Brown and Josnell Rodriguez put sex, money, and murder, the girls, the drugs, and the violence ahead of everything else because Vincent Davis was gunned down in July 2012 and died a few weeks later. We're here because Corey Brown ordered the shooting and rewarded the shooter with status and power after the job was done. Because Josnell Rodriguez, when faced with the decision of helping to carry out the murder or walking away, chose to help. We're also here because even though Davis himself was a member of Sex, Money, Murder, and even though he was a drug dealer, he didn't deserve to die. We're here because Vincent Davis was killed simply because he was a threat to this man's power. Now, over the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you what the evidence in this case is going to show and how the government is going to present the evidence to you. So let's start with what the evidence will show. Corey Brown has been in Sex, Money, and Murder almost since it started as a set of the Bloods in the late 90s. You will learn at this trial that Brown sold crack for Sex, Money, and Murder on the streets of Soundview, and that he, along with a bunch of other members of Sex, Money, and Murder, got caught. Brown went to prison in 2002. While in prison, Brown, who was a leader on the street, gained even more status, more respect, more power within the gang. He was released in 2009, and he went right back to the streets. He had learned his status, and as you will see in this trial, he wanted everyone to know it. He tattooed Sex, Money, and Murder across his back. But when he got back to the streets, Brown faced a new challenge, Vincent Davis. You see, Davis had been arrested at the same time as Brown in 2001, but he was released earlier. Davis had come back to Soundview, and he took over the streets. So while Brown was gone, people in Sex, Money, and Murder who used to be loyal to Brown became loyal to Davis. The conflict came to a head in the summer of 2011 when Davis and Brown were involved in a fight. During the fight, Davis slashed Brown's face with a razor from above his eye all the way down to his mouth, leaving a scar running down his face from top to bottom. You will learn that Brown put out the word that he wanted Davis dead and attempted to recruit young, hungry members of Sex, Money, and Murder to do it for him. And ultimately, that is just what he did. At this trial, you will hear from the shooter, the man Brown recruited, a man named Christopher Lopez. Lopez is in prison and has pled guilty to his participation in the murder of Vincent Davis. He will tell you about how Corey Brown brought him into sex, money, and murder, and how when Lopez himself was released from Rikers Island in late 2011, Brown showed up at Lopez's house, took him out, treated him special. He will tell you how Brown showed him his scar and told him that he wanted Davis killed, that Davis had to be taken care of. You'll hear from Lopez that he only knew who Vincent Davis was because he had seen him around the neighborhood, how they never really even spoken, not until the night that Lopez shot him. At this trial, you will hear all about that night, about how Lopez learned where Davis would be that night, how Lopez called Brown to get the final go-ahead, and then went and got the gun. You will hear how Rodriguez helped, how he told Lopez where to find Davis, and how he suggested that they move the car after he knew that Lopez had the gun. And after Lopez shot Davis, how he helped him hide the murder weapon. You will also hear that the getaway did not go quite as Rodriguez planned, and he shot himself in the hand while cleaning the gun. Lopez drove Rodriguez to the hospital, where Rodriguez lied and said that he, like Vincent Davis, had been shot at a cookout. Along with the murder at this trial, you will also learn about how sex, money, and murder operated as a set of the Bloods, a gang, and how everyone in the gang took an oath passed down from one generation to the next and revered the sex, money, and murder founder, a man who was serving a life sentence for murder. You will learn that Brown was an esteemed member of the old guard and that Rodriguez was a rising young star. You will also learn that Brown and Rodriguez were not close, but they were bonded by the gang, brothers in sex, money, and murder. You will see and hear about the hand signals and tattoos that they used to show their loyalty and flaunt their membership in the gang to make sure everyone knew and everyone they encountered knew that they belonged to an organization that used violence to protect the gang and to maintain its power on the streets, in prison, and within its very ranks. You will hear about the gang's narcotics trafficking, how only sex, money, and murder members could sell on certain corners, and how if you had status in the gang, you had access to additional supplies of cocaine and heroin. You will hear about Lopez and Rodriguez selling crack together in the Castle Hill houses and pooling together their money to buy a gun. You will learn that in recent years, it became more profitable for some of the young members of Sex, Money, and Murder to take drugs upstate to sell. You will hear about gang members arrested upstate while carrying heroin. You will also learn that when Brown came home from prison in 2009, he was deliberately hands-off when it came to narcotics, but how he knew exactly what the other gang members were up to, and that they were selling drugs. They were the ones taking risk, and you will hear how Brown reaped the benefits. He was their leader, so they gave him money and paid for his nights out, throwing him cash whenever he asked. Although he was working odd jobs to make his probation officer think that he had given up the gang, the evidence at this trial will expose that lie for exactly what it is. You will see firsthand the distribution quantity of marijuana that was recovered from Brown's apartment in 2016. That marijuana was packaged for sale and retrieved from a box that had a Tech-9 automatic weapon sitting on top of it. You will also see the AK-47 and the hollow point bullets recovered from Brown's closet. As a result of their crimes, the defendants are facing multiple federal charges. Judge Colt is going to instruct you on the law at the end of this trial, and to be clear, what she says controls. Just let me say this. As a result of their roles in sex, money, and murder, both defendants are charged with agreeing to participate in a racketeering enterprise, a criminal organization. That organization is Sex, Money, Murder. You will hear that the crimes they committed included murder and trafficking in crack cocaine, heroin, and marijuana. Because he ordered the murder, Corey Brown is charged with murder in aid of racketeering, and both Brown and Rodriguez are charged with conspiracy or agreeing to work with at least one other person to commit a murder in aid of racketeering. Finally, Brown is charged with 2 firearms offenses. One because of the gun that was used to kill Vincent Davis, and one for being a felon in possession of the guns found in his apartment in 2016. So how will the government prove that the defendants committed each of these crimes? You will hear and see lots of different evidence in this case. You will see documents. You will see phone records from the night that Vincent Davis was shot showing the calls between Lopez, Brown, and Rodriguez. You will see hospital records from when Rodriguez shot his hand. You will see that he was treated at a hospital right next to his house where he shot himself when he was cleaning the gun. You will also see physical evidence. You will see the guns that were recovered from Brown's home in 2016, the AK-47, the Tech-9, and the bullets. You will see the marijuana packaged in little baggies for sale. You will see the phones and the text messages and photos that were recovered from each of those phones. Along with photos taken directly from the phones, you are also going to see photographs from Instagram and Facebook showing Rodriguez and Brown together with other members of Sex, Money, and Murder flashing gang signs. You will see pictures of Brown and Rodriguez's Sex, Money, and Murder tattoos. You are going to hear recordings that Brown made in Brown's own voice in 2013 about his own involvement in Sex, Money, Murder. You will see rap videos and songs created by members of Sex, Money, and Murder, recordings that will leave you no doubt about the enterprise in this case, showing the Sex, Money, Murder crew together, glorifying the drug trade and violence. You are going to hear from witnesses. You will hear from a former FBI agent who arrested both Brown and Davis in 2001, and from Brown's probation officer who was supervising him at the time of the murder. You will hear how Brown denied any association with anyone in Sex, Money, and Murder during that time. You will also hear from witnesses who, like Brown and Rodriguez, once took the Sex, Money, and Murder oath and pledged allegiance to the gang, but had decided at this point in their lives not to put sex, money, and murder ahead of everything else. You will hear from the shooter himself, Christopher Lopez. He will sit on that witness stand and tell you about the months leading up to Vincent Davis's death, what happened that night, and how he was treated afterwards. Some of the witnesses you are going to hear from are the people who have inside knowledge of the crimes Brown and Rodriguez committed. They will tell you from their own firsthand knowledge about Brown and Rodriguez's drug dealing, about pledging themselves to the gang and to violence and cash, and about the murder of Vincent Davis, how it was discussed, planned, and carried out. Now make no mistake about it, some of these witnesses have committed very serious crimes. Lopez is a killer. You may ask yourself why the government will be calling them as witnesses. The reality is, and your own common sense will tell you that only criminals, only people who are actually involved in these crimes can tell you about how sex, money, murder, drug trade worked, how the gang functioned and rewarded violence and loyalty, and how the murder of Vincent Davis was planned and executed. You will also learn that Lopez is not testifying out of the goodness of his heart. He did not turn himself in for this crime. He was caught. But you will learn that Lopez pled guilty to his crimes, including the murder of Vincent Davis, and is testifying in the hope that he will receive a lesser sentence, and he will explain that to you himself from that witness stand. It is no secret. All of the witnesses in this trial will tell you why they are here. But when you listen to these witnesses, the question before you is not whether you approve of what they have done. The only question before you, as you evaluate their testimony, is whether they are telling the truth. So when you consider their testimony, please look at it very closely, very carefully, and think about whether what they say makes sense. Hold their testimony up against each of the other witnesses in this case, and see whether what they tell you fits with the other evidence that you see. The phone records, the documents, the videos, the physical evidence, all of the evidence in this trial. After you've heard and seen all of the evidence in this case, you will have no reasonable doubt as to exactly what happened here. You will have no doubt that Vincent Davis is dead because Corey Brown ordered that murder, and because Josnell Rodriguez helped to get the job done. You will have no doubt that the defendants are guilty as charged. Between now and then, I'm going to ask you to do three things. First, pay close attention to the evidence. Second, follow Judge Coates' instructions. And third, use your common sense, the same wisdom and good judgment that you use in your everyday lives, the common sense that guides you in every important decision that you make. If you do those three things at the end of this trial, you will reach the only verdict consistent with the evidence, the law, and common sense, that the defendants are guilty.
Rest in peace to Nell. Yes, that time, Billy, you're hard. Right, that was a crazy time. I mean, when I came home in 2011, and that's there's a lot of conversations. Billy Hard Hunter says hard to be careful. Had to be careful with claiming sex money murder out in the X because they had two different sides of sex money murder. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna share my experience with sex money murder. I know a guy named Nigel, rest in peace. He's from the Bronx. He was claiming Blazing Billy in Albany, New York. He's from the Bronx, though. A guy named the homie Two Face, and some of y'all might even know Ambush. Ambush was on the Real Housewives of whatever country that is, Saudi Arabia, something that some show he has. He's over there in that country where he's in a country where Cardi B had did a video at. He was a part of that sex money murder situation. That was upstate New York. That was upstate New York. You know what I'm saying, man? We call him Ambush. Y'all might know him as Mr. Bruno. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, Sleep Force from Taft. Blazers just my experience with them. They always been in the news. I was around because I come from the first generation of New York Bloods in Albany, New York. I come from the first 30 Bloods that was claiming Bloods in Albany, New York. So I come from that cloth of Bloods in Albany, New York. So Albany, New York, there was a lot of people that was coming through from the Five Boroughs that was coming to Albany, New York. Lock and Orange, shout out to Lock and Orange. Just to let y'all know, not saying the capital district, but Albany, New York. I'm one of the first 50 Bloods. Originally first generation Bloods in Albany, New York. Allegedly, I'm come from that cloth. I'm in that cloth. I'm in that cleavage. When you mention certain names, Zeke name is up there, but always having status. You know what I'm saying? Allegedly. Now, touching back on the content. Now, when my experience with sex money murder was, there was a concert in Albany, New York, and Peter Guns pulled up. This is when that Lord Tariq song was popping, and they had did a show at SUNY Albany, a university. The after party was at the Quality Inn for Washington Ave Extension, and they pulled up with the Locks. A couple of people performed, but the Locks was at the party, and rest in peace to the homie Bone Crusher. It was like, yo, the homie Peter Guns is in the building. Peter Guns was telling us at that point in time that a lot of official Blazers wasn't tossing it up because it was hot, because of the situation with Pistol Pete catching the Fed charge. This was back then. If you know what year I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, sucks to be you. Actually, I'm in some flicks with Peter Guns that night at the club. Rest in peace to Bone Crusher. To Shine, homie from Albany, you know what I'm saying? He was there that day, you know what year. I don't have to go into the specifics. But yeah, like I told you, I come from the first generation of New York Bloods in Albany, New York. Yes. Sorry to say this, allegedly, I'm one of the first 50. You know what I'm saying? First 50. Can't take that away from anybody else that was there. The African Billy Shabazz, he was up there. Non-Trey Shabazz. Allegedly. Like I say allegedly to certain homies. You know what I'm saying? But just, you know what I'm saying? So just to give you, so when you see generations of that shit in Albany, allegedly, who knows? We're going back to the content. Now, CB. CB's a name I've heard. There's a lot going on with CB. Shout out to my man K Moneybags in the Blazers from Harlem that had ties to, just repeating them. He's sex money murder. K Moneybags. I think he should be free now, but shout out to K Moneybags. The CB name rang bells, and but remember this is a different cloth of sex money murder now. So we're gonna get a little in depth into who we are. We're gonna introduce your world to allegedly who CB is. CB might be fighting for his life right now, but we're gonna we're gonna educate this. This is his case. This is his jury transcripts. There's a couple of interesting conversations here. And if some of you Bronx cats or Blazing Billies want to jump in this chat to speak, you're allowed to speak in the stream yard. Um, Now, before Webster Projects was full of Mac ballers, there was a lot of Blazing Billies come out of Webster. There was a lot of Macs, original Macs. No, a lot of original Blazers allegedly became Mac ballers. So before the motherland was the motherland, there was a lot of Blazing Billies in Webster Projects. Now, Web ain't got nothing to do with Soundview. But that's, you know what I'm saying? That's, you know, you understand what I'm saying? And this has to do with an individual they're going to mention in this case, allegedly Ungambino. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because you had the homies out, a lot of Blaze, because my man Peanut, allegedly, he's Blazing Billy, but he's from Webster Projects, not. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I know a little bit about that, because that's where he's from. He's Blazer. So there was a Blazing Billy influence in Webster Projects. Now this next show goes cstacks, carries out a hit, goes from Mac Bowler Brim to Sex Money Murder, meets CB. Now vice versa, Hell Well was Sex Money Murder, and when he told the Blazers he was hopping in that Mac whip, there might have been some consequences. You know what I'm saying? There might have been some consequences. Shout out to Disco. A lot of you guys go crazy on Disco, but Disco was Blazing Billy at first. He was Sex Money Murder before he became the Mac Baller situation. So let's I don't know how many Blazers was running around Webster, but there was in Webster Projects there was a large Sex Money Murder influence. Now, this is the vice versa. cstacks carries our hit from Mac Bowler Brim to Sex Money Murder. Shout out to the Macs. Sleeves. Heavy on the sleeves. This is public information. Public information, John.
Vincent Davis is dead because Corey Brown wanted him dead. Corey Brown and Jasnell Rodriguez swore allegiance to a gang called Sex, Money, and Murder. That gang thrived on violence to control the drug trade in the Soundview and Castle Hill neighborhoods in the Bronx. These men each took an oath to put sex, money, and murder ahead of everything else. They took an oath to kill without caring, and that is exactly what they did. The evidence at this trial will show that Corey Brown ordered the murder of Vincent Davis. Davis was Brown's rival in sex.
I think I just played that. I actually played that. This is playing the testimony twice. So I'm gonna go someplace else with this. We'll play another one because it sounds familiar with the last piece of content I just played. All right. This is crazy. Ungambino made me a plate, allegedly. I say allegedly. cstacks testifies about his life being in danger. He says cstacks. He says Ungambino made him a plate.
You see that coming off? See, this reveals a new layer of skin. I got
reactions to the murder? Yes. Could you give an example? People wanted to kill me after. How did you find out people wanted to kill you? From other blazers in the neighborhood, Corey. What did you learn from Corey Brown? told me to be careful for Venom's brothers because they was looking for me. And what did you learn from other sex, money, murder members in the neighborhood? Be careful for basically his brothers and people we hang out with. Are you familiar with an individual known as Ungambino? Yes. Who is he? He is the person on top of the lineup for the New York State prisons. So to be clear, is he in sex, money, murder? Yeah. Did you learn of his reaction to the murder? He made me a plate after. How did you learn that? From Brabs' younger brother. I was in prison with him, and he told me that. He said I was a plate. Is Brabs' younger brother in a gang? Yes. What gang? Sex, money, murder. All right. Mr. Lopez, I'd like to... Actually, stepping back for a second. Did you ever have a conversation with Corey Brown about Ungambino? One time he called on his phone, but it wasn't Ungambino himself. It was somebody that was under Ungambino. And we was all hanging out, and he put it on speaker. And basically he was saying that, yo, cstacks is a dub. It's up. Excuse me. That's messed up how he did that to Venom. And we was all there. I remember Corey telling him, like, to mind their business. They don't know what's going on in the streets. He was worried about what was going on in jail. They're miserable because they got all that time. So that's why they're running their mouth. So just to be clear, who was saying that you were a dub? Someone that was under Gambino. But the message came from Ungambino. How did you learn about this conversation? I was present for that conversation. And what did you understand Corey to be saying when he said they were all miserable in jail? They had a lot of time in jail, and they just wanted to start trouble. How did you react when Corey said this? I just stood quiet and was listening. All right, Mr. Lopez, I'd like to change topics a bit. You testified earlier that you were involved in selling crack in Castle Hill. Yes. How did you start selling crack in Castle Hill? I used to hang out with JC, and he made me an offer. Just come up here and start selling crack with him in Castle Hill. When did that happen? Around 2012. Was this before or after the murder of Vincent Davis? Before. How did you know JC? Went to school together. Was anybody else selling crack in Castle Hill? Dio, Brabs. How did you know Dio? I met him around 2009. Where did you meet him? In prison. When you met him in prison, was he in a gang? Yes. What gang?
Definitely salute the iStream Radio for the $10 donation. Great content. Z Black historian. Feed the wolves. You feeding the wolves. You feeding the streets.
He was Mac Baller Brim. Did you ever discuss whether he was in a gang before he was with Mac Baller Brims? He told me he used to be sex, money, murder. And to be clear, when you were dealing drugs with him, beginning in 2011, what gang was he in? Sex, money, murder. And I believe, did you also testify that you were selling drugs with Brabs? Yes. How did you know Brabs? I met him when I was in jail too. Were these all sex, money, murder members? Yes. Was there a particular place in Castle Hill where you were selling drugs? In the projects. Where in the projects? The whole projects. Would you sell them outside or inside? Mostly inside. Were non-sex, money, murder members selling drugs in Castle Hill? No. Why not? There was basically only sex, money, murder that was selling crack. Did you and Dio ever discuss the control of the drug trade in Castle Hill? He told me that him and JC was in control of Castle Hill. Did he say how he got that control? I can't remember. What did it mean for him and JC to be in control of the drug trade there? Basically that they had the block and they was in charge. What did it mean for them to be in charge? They ran it. They ran Castle Hill projects. Around this time, how often were you selling drugs in Castle Hill? Every day. How long did you sell drugs in Castle Hill every day? Until about September 2012. So just to be clear, when did you begin selling drugs in 2012? Around spring. Do you know what month? Probably around May. During this time frame, how often would you see D.O. or Jamel Rodriguez selling drugs? Every day. What about J.C.? Every day. What about Brabs? Every day. How much crack cocaine were you selling a day? Maybe. Each day? Or we could say a week. A week, maybe 5 to 10 grams. Do you know how much D.O. was selling? No. Was he selling more than you? Objection. Overruled. Well, form. Sustained. Do you know if D.O. was selling more than you? I'm not sure. How often did you see D.O. selling? Every day. What quantities did he have when you saw him? Objection. Repetitive. Overruled. About. We used to bag up and have little dimes of crack and maybe about 5 to 10 grams at a time. What is a dime of crack? About 0.3 of a gram, a third of a gram. And how many dimes of crack would you have a day? Maybe 50, 40. Would you be able to sell them all that day? Most of the time. How many dimes of crack would you see D.O. with generally a day? About the same. What about J.C.? Same. What about Brabs? Same. Who is supplying you with the crack cocaine? I used to buy off this dude named Bounce. And when you bought the drugs from Bounce, was the crack cocaine cooked or in powder form? Cooked. What did it look like? Like a rock? Like a big rock? How much would you get from Bounce at a time? Anywhere from 5 or 10 grams. How often would you re-up your supply with Bounce? About once or twice a week. Who would package the crack cocaine? I would. Where would you do that? In certain trap houses in Castle Hill. Did you ever see D.O. package crack cocaine? Yes. What about J.C.? Yes. What about Brabs? Yes. Aside from Bounce, did you have any other suppliers during this time? I got one time from the God. How much did you get from the God? He gave me about an ounce of crack. And how many grams are there in an ounce of crack, approximately?
Hold on 1 second. Hit that like button, man. Hit that like button. Yes, yes, yes. Hit that like button. Hit that like button, party people. Hit that like button, man. Let's get them likes up. Get the people here. You know, you got the 59, 58. Let's get it up there. Let's get them numbers up. We don't have time for the logicals. Yes, yes, mafioso. Yes, 49. Yes, yes, the Trace Side Boys. Yes, yes, sir. I was asked by Mo and a couple other individuals to do the sex money murder thing. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Mo pulled up. Because Mo asked me a couple of days ago, could I do the CB thing? I gotta change the titles. Just give me a second. The CB. What year was that? What year was the CB case? Super Wario was in the building. Super Wario was in the building. Sorry, Super Wario was in the building. CB sex money murder. Debbie Super Wario's in the building. Salute to the chat. Super Wario in the building. He has great content. Check him out. Super Wario in the building. I believe he's also done a video on the CB situation. Debbie Super Wario's in the building. 2016. Got you. This is the court transcripts from Crown Courts TV. This is what I'm doing. Deputy Super Wario Bro was in the building. Check out his content. He has a video on this. You know what I'm saying? We get back to this case. 6 million murder federal trial. Holes in the building. Hold on, give me 1 second. cstacks. Ungambino. All right, let's get there. Let me get back to the. Let me get back to the story. Don't say free the church, right? Gucci had got retired, bro. Gucci has retired. Hold on. Let's get back. Sorry for the inconvenience. I had to change the title. You know what I'm saying?
Were you recently injured in a car accident?
Definitely salute to Super Wario. He said salute to the chat. Salute him. Everybody should be saluting. He has great content. You know what I'm saying? Great content.
He used to go with me to get the same drugs from Bounce. Do you know how often Dio was re-upping with Bounce? About the same, once or twice a week. And generally speaking, what kind of customers did you have? Addicts. What about Dio? Same. Did you share customers with Dio? Yes. What about with JC and Brabs? Yes. How did that work? Might all be hanging out with each other. And if an addict had called one of our phones, and if he wanted 6, we might split it half and half. I'll give him 3 jobs. And you give him 3 jobs.
Yo, rest in peace to CB Moms, man. She passed away last Monday. Definitely rest in peace to CB Moms, man. No, yeah, rest in peace. Definitely. Rest in peace to Mama Love, man. Rest in peace to CB Moms, man. Definitely rest in peace to CB Moms. Yo, Mo, that picture, is that a picture of Cozy Corner? That's Monroe Projects across the street, Mo? Is that Cozy Corner in that picture when you go inside? Is that Monroe?
And vice versa. During this time, did Dio have a cell phone? Yes. How many phones? 2. Did he use a particular phone for drug dealing? Yes. What kind of phone was that? It would be like a throwaway phone. So what did it look like? Like either a flip phone? What did his other phone look like? An iPhone? Did you ever use Dio's phone? Sometimes. Which phone? The dirty phone that we would sell drugs off of? Why would you use his phone? If he was leaving the neighborhood, he would leave his phone with me, and I used his customers while he wasn't there. What do you mean, used his customers? I would sell crack to the customers that would call his phone. So how would you know that a customer was calling his?
This is actually the trial transcripts from Crown Court TV. My man Prince, suit the Crown Prince. Yeah, this is actually the jury transcripts at trial as they testify. This is actually jury transcripts.
Phone. They would call and it would ring and I would answer it. What would they ask when they called? How many? I would ask them what they wanted and they would tell me. And I'd meet them somewhere in the projects and sell them the drugs. How many phones did you have at the time? I had 2 phones. Why did you have 2 phones? One to sell drugs off of and just one phone to have it as a clean phone? What kind of phone was the phone you sold drugs off of? A Metro PCS phone. What did it look like? At that time I had it wasn't a flip phone. It was like a little throwaway Metro PCS phone. What about your clean phone? What kind of phone was that? An iPhone. Would you call D.O. on the phone during this time? Yes. Which phone would you use if you were going to call D.O.'s dirty phone? I would use my dirty phone. Would you ever call his clean phone? Off of my clean phone, yeah. And why would you do that? So the phones don't ever cross lines. If there was ever to get tapped or something, it won't go into my family phone that I call my family with. What do you mean by get tapped? Like if my dirty phone was tapped or whatever, I was selling drugs on. I wouldn't call his clean phone off of it, just in case they tapped his clean phone off of my dirty phone. So what was the purpose of that? Stay out of trouble and stay out of the police's way. Did JC have a specific phone for drug dealing? Yes. What kind of phone? He had a throwaway phone. What about Brabs? Yes. What kind of phone? Same thing, the throwaway phone. Did you ever use JC's phone? Yes. When would you use his phone? The same. If he was not in the neighborhood, he would leave me with his phone. Why would he leave you with his phone? So I can make money off of the customers on his phone. What about Brabs? Did you ever use his phone? Yes. When did you use his phone? Same thing. When he wasn't around in the neighborhood, he would let me borrow his phone. Now, when customers contacted these dirty phones, would they generally call or text? Call. Why would they call, to your knowledge? Because they wanted drugs. Did you ever say anything to customers about whether they should call or text? No. Did you ever let JC, Brabs, or DO use your phone? No. Why not? Because they was introducing me to their block. So they had all the customers. And they was just basically letting me get some of their customers. What do you mean by introducing me to their block? I was coming to their neighborhood to sell drugs. So they knew everybody there already. So they was basically putting me on and introducing me to the other people who buy crack in that neighborhood. So did you have more or less customers than D.O.? Less. What about JC? I had less. What about Brabs?
Yo, that's crazy. Yo, that's crazy. That is crazy. Crazy. That's crazy. That is crazy. Yo, it's a dirty game, man. Yo. Exactly, Mr. Stone. What happens to the right? You have the right to remain silent, man. These dudes is crazy. You know? As soon as they get caught up, they tell the whole story. Yo, you won't, yo, allegedly. I say allegedly. Yo. And I'm saying though, I was selling 5 grams for him, and you know what I'm saying? And he was the boss. I was only selling 5 grams though. We had a drug on it. Yo, these dudes is crazy, man. That's why I'm not talking this much. I want you to actually hear this. You know what I'm saying? I realized that you're gonna really hear the content. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying you gotta hear the content. I think a lot of times we don't get into the content too heavy, and we get lost in the content. You know what I'm saying? Now the pleasant part about this is Corey Brown. He'll put it all on the line. You know what I'm saying? This is also New York shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the worst part about this, man. That's the worst part about this. You know what I'm saying? This is also New York shit. But definitely shout out to the Blazers. You know what I'm saying? Definitely shout out to the Blazers, man. I hope it's 4-5. I see you. You heard that rapper holds something special. That rapper holds something special. You know what I'm saying? Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna put Pistol Pete on the thumbnail. Loose lips who sink sips. You know what I'm saying? You know, exactly. The feds be so thirsty for conviction. Psh, you know what I'm saying? They be so thirsty for conviction that, man, they push everything to the side, man. You know what I'm saying? Just for, you know what I'm saying? Now, a Blazer I met before in the box, and I guess he's something special in the Blazers, is I met Kev Mo. I was in the box with him in S Block. Shout out to Kev Mo, wherever he's at out here in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? Kev Mo, good people, man. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely good people, you know what I'm saying? And I met him. Hold on a second. Yeah, I met him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna tell you, man. It's definitely a dirty game, man. We're gonna get back to we're definitely gonna get back to the transcripts. You know what I'm saying? I just got to make some adjustments. I have to make some minor adjustments. Thank y'all for working with me. All right. Now we back. You know what I'm saying? This is loose lips, Mr. White Bill's loose lips sink sips. You know what I'm saying? We have to get everything right. We have to do our diligences. You know what I'm saying? Because these men are fighting for their freedom. So we're gonna have to say allegedly a lot, and we're gonna be in tune. We're definitely gonna be smart about this. Now, I'm gonna keep it over 100 with you. A hundo. It's a very interesting case, man, because the information that we're listening to, it's not too much. It's not too crazy. It's crazy, but yeah, get back to the content, man. Hold on 1 second.
Do you know how long Dio had been selling in Castle Hill? They just told me he was selling there for a while, maybe since before 2008. Do you know how long JC had been selling there? Around the same amount of time. What about Rabs? Around the same amount of time. Now you testified that Dio sometimes left you his phone. Do you know if he ever left his dirty phone with anybody else? Yes. What do you know? He used to leave it with this dude named Skrills. Who's Skrills? One of the Blazers from Castle Hill. To your knowledge, would he ever leave his phone with somebody who wasn't in sex, money, murder? No. Mr. Lopez, I am now going to show you what has been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 302. Do you recognize this photograph? Yes. How do you recognize it? It's me, Dio, and JC. Your Honor, the government would offer this subject to connection. Received. Ms. Corrado, can you please publish the photograph? Mr. Lopez, can you walk through who is in this photograph? Starting from the left, it's Dio. I'm in the middle, and JC. Focusing on JC in this photograph here. What is he doing with his hand? He's throwing up sex, money, murder. What are you doing with your hands? I'm throwing up sex, money, murder. And what about DL? It looks like he's doing the same. Could you read the name at the top of this photograph? It says King Oski. What does that represent? That's D.O.'s Instagram. How do you know that's his Instagram? I had an Instagram too. We used to follow each other. Focusing on the text below the picture here, could you read what it says next to King Oski? It says, TBT, free my Blazers, brothers, Stacks and JC. We wasn't chilling with none of our black friends this night. Spanish niggas only. Now turning first to TBT. What does that mean? Throwback Thursday. What does free my Blazers, brothers Stacks and JC mean? I was in prison at the time, and he was saying free me. What about JC? Where was he at the time? I believe he was locked up too. And what does the rest of this caption mean? That we was just chilling without none of our black friends that night? Where were you the night this picture was taken? It was in Sin City. Where had you been earlier that night? I was in Don Conquy in Queens. What is Don Conquy? It's another sort of club, restaurant. Who were you with at Don Conquy? Corey Brown and Drip. Who is Drip? He's another Blazer. Somebody. He told me that he was one of CB's first drops. What does first drop mean? One of the first persons CB brought into Sex Money Murder. When did you meet Drip? I met him that night. What did you, Drip, and CB do that night? It was my birthday, and he invited me to Don Conquy, and I was with JC and D.O., and we went over there, but they didn't let JC and D.O. in because of what they were wearing. So I just went in for a few minutes, and I told them that I was leaving because they didn't let them in. And so we was going to go to Sin City, and he was going to meet us at Sin City. Did he do that? Yes. Turning back to your drug dealing in Castle Hill, did you ever talk to Brown about your drug dealing there? Yes. About how many times did you talk to him about it? Sometimes he would come pick me up from Castle Hill, and we would hang out, and he used to ask me what I was doing up there. I told him I was selling crack. How did he respond when you said that you were selling crack? He used to ask who I was selling crack with. I told him like D.O. and JC, and he just said, just be careful. But that's good that you get money with the homies. But that's it. What did you understand him to mean when he says, that's good, you're getting money with the homies? I was making money with other people in the gang. Did you ever have crack when you got in the car with him? Yes. Where did you have it when you got in the car with him? I used to keep it in my boxer briefs. Do you know if he knew you had crack when you got into the car with him? Sometimes. Well, maybe. Not most of the time, but I always had it on me, so most of the time. I think you said sometimes he knew. How did you know that he knew then? I remember one time he asked me if I was dirty, and I told him yes. What did you understand it to mean when he asked if you were dirty? When I got in the car, if I had anything on me? Do you know why he was asking if you were dirty? Objection, Your Honor. Sustained as to form. Mr. Lopez, did you and Brown ever discuss whether he was dealing drugs in that time period? He told me he was on probation, so he wasn't selling drugs at the time. He was waiting till he got off. Now, Mr. Lopez, did Mr. Brown know how often you were dealing crack? Yes. How do you know that? I used to hang out with him a lot, and he knew I was selling crack at the time. Objection, Your Honor. Overruled. How, if at all, did your drug dealing relate to the gang? That's what the gang was about, making money. Were there any non-sex money murder members selling drugs in Castle Hill at the time? No. Could a rival of sex money murder sell drugs in Castle Hill at the time? No. Why not? Because that was our neighborhood. If there were any disputes in drug dealing, how would they be resolved? Violence. If you had a problem in connection with your drug dealing, who would back you up? Any of the Blazers. Did you have any weapons to protect your drug dealing? Yes. What kind of weapons? A .357. Is this the gun you referred to earlier? Yes. Who shared this gun? Me, D.O., JC, and Brabs. Whose idea was it to get this gun? D.O.? And when did he have that idea, approximately? We was just hanging out one day, and he knew somebody selling a gun, and we all chipped in to buy it. What did he say about knowing somebody selling a gun? He said that somebody was selling the 357, and that we didn't have no gun out there. And so we all put our money together. We all chipped in and bought the gun. Did he say why he thought you should get a gun? Just in case anything ever happened in Castle Hill while we were selling crack. How much did you chip in for the gun? I think I gave him about $100. Do you know how much it cost in total? I can't remember the exact. I think it was around $350. Where did you keep the gun? In the projects. Where in the projects? Certain people's houses when we was around. Just to be clear, which projects was the gun in? Castle Hill. Whose house did you keep it at? I remember keeping it at Skrill's house. Why did you keep it there? Because he was reliable and his building was close to where we used to hang out at. How close was the building to where you were doing your drug dealing? We was doing our drug dealing around the whole project, but we used to hang out by his building, by the benches.
Mo joint, man. It's very. This is 2016, man. This is. You know, the game didn't change. You see the information being put out. You're hustling off the phone crazy. He passes his phone and then sell 30 grams. You know what I'm saying? It's a different game he's talking about. It's a different era. This isn't the era I so much know about. This is the newer era. This is the newer era of hustling. That's what he said. Instagram, social medias. We didn't have that in my generation. The closest thing to the social media we had was Atari, Nintendo, Frogman, in the corner store arcades. We didn't have what they had now, these technologies. We had beepers though. I'm definitely shout out to Peace Money Money, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Definitely Mo says remember CB's from Soundview, little dudes are Castle Hill. They didn't know anything about CB. Now, the first time I heard about Sex Money Murder was Peter Roloff. And it's sort of personal, but I can tell you guys, Peter Roloff is allegedly accused of murdering one of my friends, a kid named Cato, Kenny Martin, from the west side of Harlem. Me and Kenny Martin, we grew real close in high school. We went to Norman Thomas High School. He's a good friend of mine. I'll go to Grandma's house, I believe on 111th Street. I don't really know like the avenues too good, but the avenue he lived on, you'll know the building. It's right there by Century Park West, like 2 blocks down 111th Street. Me and Kid was real tight, and so when I heard about the killing on Harlem Week, yes, Kato was a good friend of mine. So that's the first time I really heard about the Sex Money Murder when it came to the blood thing. It wasn't even blood, whatever. But Sex Money Murder name rang bells before the blood era as a street clique. Let's be clear. They was already famous, Sex Money Murder, the organization in the Bronx. Soundview cats, a lot of those cats would come to Harlem Week and they'll get crazy. Now, before y'all assume that the Bloods made Grand Tunes popping, that was a Harlem Week thing. Before the gang culture. Dudes would go to Harlem Week, Rucker, Grand Tune. That was part of the West Side flow. 40th, Links Avenue was hot, 39th, summertime crazy. So do not believe that, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that culture back then. But as the years moved on, Pistol Pete made a decision, and you may meet some Sex Money Murders that's original, that's not blood. But they Sex Money Murder because they was part of the clique. You know what I'm saying? So you may meet some. I know a couple that's Sex Money Murder, they're not Blazer, but yo, son, I was running with Pete this year and that year and that year. You know what I'm saying? So you got dudes that Sex Money Murder that's not blood, but they're originals. You know what I'm saying? Like anything else, originals. We're not saying the blood party in originals, but these guys are original Sex Money Murder. They rang bells. You know what I'm saying? Soundview, that generation went to Soundview was nothing to play with. Then when you had the Course of Tracks by Bronxdale Projects and the rest of them, we had the Papa dudes, you know what I'm saying? In an area that might be familiar to some of you guys is on the Bruckner, where White Castles is at, that little territory. You know what I'm saying? Of course, because y'all see a certain part of Soundview, you'll see those co-ops. But then you go in the back, you got Soundview projects. Then you also have Monroe projects. I'm saying, but I'm not a Bronx nigga, so a lot of you Bronx niggas, Lafayette, shout out to dudes in Lafayette and all that. That's you know what I'm saying, my man 16 bars, you heard? So I'm just giving you a brief, I guess I'm gonna stay on this topic because a lot of you guys want to have the sex money money conversation from 2016. I had to change the title, no disrespect to the Cypress Boys. The content was super yuck, that was not edited. Now, like I told you, the first time I heard of sex money murder, as in being Bloods, that's when they put Pistol Pete face all over the poles, the street corners. You know what I'm saying? Now, hold on. Shit, hold up, people. So it's definitely a dirty game. You got Pete under the jail, you know what I'm saying? Now, like I told you, his name means it has an influence for a guy's been under the jail, but he was getting money allegedly in the South in the early mid 90s, late 80s. He was getting some bread. You know what I'm saying? So do not get it twisted. He had a Southern influence already, but they was a gang then. They wasn't a gang. They was just in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And again, I gotta say allegedly. You know what I'm saying? But they definitely had an influence in the street. What I say is, when it comes to this culture, man, you know, and to be honest with you, in that situation, right? I'm gonna say that Pete, when allegedly the Blazers jumped in the New York Blood whip, they was the only blood set that was affiliated with the bag when it came to the streets. So y'all say what y'all want to say, but that was something that was already in fruitation. Dudes had allegedly he had car lots and car rentals, and he was doing a lot of things in the South. He had issues at one point in time with the who's who of New York. Just give you, for those that's not from this country. So this game, this situation that we're talking about now in 2022, this guy had the issues with the who's who's. We're talking about the Carlton Hines. We're talking about, C-Towns. We're talking about the BOs, Zulu Nation. So this guy we're talking about is just not a regular guy, Bishop Pete. You know what I'm saying? He was serious. But a lot of this was before the 031, before the oath, before the pledge. A lot of these issues were street issues, allegedly. The man's probably fighting for his freedom most likely. Like I told you, I'm doing this show unbiasedly. I'm not throwing shots. I'm not being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Allegedly, he murdered my man at 125th Street, a good friend of mine named Cato. A good friend of mine, you know what I'm saying? But me doing my due diligence, I'm being fair. But be fair here. Was he official? Yes, he was outside with the Wolves. He was outside when that cloth was outside. Do not get it twisted. Do not get it misconstrued. He just happened to be in Soundview. He was outside for the YTC era. He was out. So when dudes was going to the Golden Lady, he was around for that. When dudes was going to Sin City, he was around for that. Those are those eras. When dudes was going to the Rumba, what do you call it, the Rumba, or whatever they call it, he was around for that. Yes, he was outside. Yo, he was around. Skate Key, he was around for that. Man was so he was outside. He was outside with the cloth. You can't say that he became a famous jail nigga who came home. Nah, he was outside when there was a lot of good names outside. You know what I'm saying? So he was around at the edge of it. So you gotta understand when you go why he has so much influence, because before he hopped in the whip, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He's from the cloth. He's from a cloth. He's from a good cloth. He's like the last of because he's the last of that generation, but he had a strong influence with his crew. And Sex Money Murder was a popular crew coming out of Sound. I'm sorry for the inner beefs and the inner issues. Now, look how deep the influence is. Like I just told you, Young Thug. For somebody to say allegedly Young Thug is Sex Money Murder in 2023, that's 2022. That's amazing, because Pussy Pete has been under the jail 80% of Young Thug's life. At least 80% of Young Thug's life. He's been sitting under the jail. His influence is definitely heavy. I didn't know he had influence with blacks just in Queens. You know what I'm saying? This is a sensitive topic to some. What I'm gonna say is that this is a CB joint. I want to throw all my eggs in one basket. So what I'm gonna do is I'll probably do another show tomorrow. Shout out to Mo. Shout out to people who actually do the CB joint. The guy, Pistol P, had influence. Like we talking about CB at this time. Another guy who's actually doing the right thing. Check out the rapper Hopeless 4-5. I don't know if Hopeless got caught up in this case, but I believe Hopeless 4-5 caught a Fed case himself. But what I'm gonna say is that this is still New York that we're speaking about. A grimy cloth. It's talking about the transitions of the streets. But I come from bottles and beepers and meet me in the lobby. They got the you call me and I meet you. Oh, he be this, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he'd be the Fed case. I didn't know it was the state case. I come from a different cloth. Not cloth like I'm special. It's a different era. He comes from an era of, yo, what's up? You meet him from the building, I got $20. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Where it had to come to us. Oh, Hope was at a state case. I thought he had a Fed case. No doubt. Definitely. I thought he had a Fed case. But he making something he had a Fed case. But this is so that's the episode. So now they hear, look at what's going on now. Now the messed up part about this now is that a lot of this is they have these weird cases now where they bunch you up in one pile. Because sometimes the plug is by default. Because you're the only one will work. Everybody don't deal with nobody. The prices is too high. I'm pretty sure in 2015, dudes is paying $30, $40 a gram allegedly. So now, just because these dudes come see you every day, because you might give it to them for the low, 30, 29. Okay, you're the man. I know the prices is up for a couple of good summers. I don't know when they went back down, but a couple of good summers, them prices is up, allegedly. So, was Papino for the church, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm hitting at is we the people, right? As you notice, as I'm playing the transcripts, I'm not speaking as much. So I'm letting you hear the transcript instead of me stopping and, yo, this is what I think, and such and such. I want you to hear the full testimony. Before I go, because I don't want to play, like I said, I want to throw all my bags in the basket. I'm going to play another piece of content, right? You know, Definitely shout out to my man L Famous, man, from the Bronx, man. Go support him, man. L Famous Boogie Down, G for Life. He's on YouTube. Check him out. Check out St. Laz. They got a lot of jail stories they speak about. A lot of these stories be matching up to the era. That dudes was going to the penitentiary, Rikers Island, New York. For those across the world, Rikers Island. You know what I'm saying? Now let me get to where I'm about to get to in a nice, calm place. You know what I'm saying? Let me get to the get down. So basically, Corey Brown called a bad break. Definitely, thanks. I gotta call you, man. I gotta call you. You know what I'm saying? So we just doing our due diligence. Big day shout out to Brooklyn in the building. Let's get the likes up. Let's keep the progress progressing. Progress is progressing. You got a bag of 2X low shirts, right? You in the building. The 2X low shirts will sell. You probably hit the mall. Boom. You gotta go hit it. Go chuck and roll. Gotta pop up security. You turn a simple boost into an armed robbery. Hold on, back up, security. Back up. Blow your face off. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Shout out to Brooklyn's in the building. Yeah. It's crazy, man. You definitely gotta watch aluminum foil bags and all that. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Brooklyn niggas in the building. Brooklyn's in the house. Shout out to the low lives looking around crazy. Dig a pocket here, dig a pocket there. We get it. We understand it. Aluminum foil bags. The orange razors. Remember the orange razors? Boom. They give results. When it all fails, listen. You don't want me to cut you, my nigga. Take the chain off. How it goes? You hit the razor, and then the lesson you go, you start to compensate the chain. You tell niggas, yo, son, don't put the lock on your chain. I'll chop your head off. You know what I'm saying? I tell the dude, yo, son, I will chop your head off. You know what I'm saying? I will chop your head off with this orange razor. Now, that's why you see dudes do this for. Because they got them little safety locks. Safety locks to get your head chopped off. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is you hit the bag, you hit the razor, boom. Yo, son, I can't yap it. Yo, I'll take your head off. I'm gonna chop your head off. You know what I'm saying? So be in the building, but they got the Lizzie bags. They got the Lizzie bags. Brooklyn niggas is pulling up today. What the fuck is it? The holiday? Is it Christmas time right now? Is it the ghetto shopping network right now? They got the Lizzie bags. They got the 2X polo shit. Niggas is hitting it hard. And yeah, you know what time it is. You already know what time it is. Not leaving the Bronx. We going to Brooklyn. Know what time it is. You sort of should know. Nigga hit the orange razor. I'm going to tell you where the game changed. They got creative. They had the baby axes. The little baby axes was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when baby axes hit you in the head 2-3 times, get a concussion. They knock back, get some brain damage. I don't got time to play with you niggas. Big Daddy's in the building. Exactly. I tell you, man, that shit was a game, man. And let's not misconstrue. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn. Brooklyn niggas definitely pulling up with that. You know what I'm saying? That's that Brooklyn slang. They say Lizzie bags. What I know about is old 25 illusions, 30-30, 30-30 clear joints, razor, bacon. I don't know all other shit. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? You came to the store, me get 031, shit like that. 031 allegedly, yo, hit the little. You know what I'm saying? The other shit is different. You gotta train me into the world of boosted. Y'all remember one time in the 80s, they used to tell people around the holidays, do not take the trains or watch out for the trains because there's a bunch of guys coming from Brooklyn that's doing a lot of pickpocketing. And I'm like, but a lot of people, poor people, wasn't going to Midtown unless they had a reason to go to Midtown. So it was like when Brooklyn catches up in the Phil's Day. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? All the other shit, you gotta train me. I gotta get the special training. Big hands and do-rags. You know what I'm saying? They put you in the room. Exactly. Do something for life. You know what I'm saying? Lizzie back aluminum. That's what I'm saying. Brooklyn niggas is in the building, man. The club is in the building. You know what I'm saying? The aluminum wrap in the boosted bag. Definitely in the building, man. So I want to lose track of the CB thing or CB, man. CB got a raw deal. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the BX, man. But I want to throw all my bags, all my eggs in one basket. Oh shit! Debbie, shout out to May Ling. Debbie, shout out to Monroe Project. What you call that? Money Roll, some shit like that. It's dangerous over there, man. Shout out to Monroe Projects, man. Damn. I got a whole bunch of shit to play, man. I'm gonna play this tomorrow. cstacks testifies about the son of Pistol Pete and his involvement in sex money murder. Now it's funny. I thought they wanted cstacks dead. Now all of a sudden, cstacks testifies about this, about his rise in the blazes after they hit on Venom. Yeah, I don't know. I heard he fell back. That's what I know about. But in this case, give you a reset, OG Ruck. That I guess C-Stats is saying that allegedly made him a plate for Peter for laying out for catching an alleged homicide against a guy named Venom that was a Mac Baller blend. So I guess they made him a plate. And he was mentioning how he was made a plate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Pete's father was a gangster. Yeah, Unique was with Pete's father, actually. He said in the feds. He's with him in the spot. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play a portion of this because I don't want to throw my eggs in. When yes, give you a reset. This is the CB case. This is about C-Stats that's testifying. One of the people that's testifying, and he's mentioned the Ungambino situation, where Ungambino allegedly made him a plate for killing a guy named Venom. That was a Mac Baller blend. Carried out in the wiretap. He goes, Ungambino made me a plate C-Stacks testifies against. Yes. You go back into the replay, you could definitely catch it. I'm gonna play it tomorrow, man. I think I'm gonna play it tomorrow because it'll be interesting how he testifies and says about, oh, Venom was sex when he murdered. Got you. All right, copy. Got you. So that's what he was. He was sex when he murdered. So I guess he killed Venom, and boom, shit just made him play. I think it was Mac Baller though. Guys are dirty guys. Oh, see, Stacks used to be mad. Copy. Oh, yeah, that's what I just read. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. He was in Mac boom. Yeah, remember I said it backwards, yep. They turned 6 million murder under CB. Facts. Wow. So that should tell you something dangerous, dirty, dingy, and dangerous. Definitely. That's why I'm happy the people here, because you know better than I know. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was physically around. What I'm gonna say is we're gonna need some more tomorrow. We're gonna do the testimony about what he said about his Pistol Pete's son being an alleged member of 6 million murder. And we're gonna move on. Definitely a 2-part series. For all those that pulled up, thank you. I thank all the people that's in the audience that pulled up. What pipe? What pipe? It's about Piper? You can't do it here without produce. Kerry, who you talking about, Kerry? What pipe you talking about? Debbie, shout out to my crew in Albany, the crew, you know what I'm saying, the crew, Orange Street Boys, OSB 058. Debbie, salute to the 058. You want Piper? Wow, that's crazy. Nigga, Pipe. Tomorrow, Pipe used to be on Love and Orange, right? From Queens. Oh, that's a different pipe. All right, that's about the pipe I'm talking about. Queens, they make a pipe dogs. For murder, you know what I'm saying? Whew. Thank God. All right, from the view, got you. I got you. So we back to the pipe, back to the BX, not pipe in Queens. Shout out to Queens, J. Cool, leaking all of my man, my Hollis Cruise from Soundview, no doubt. What? Definitely. Anybody in the building, definitely. I got you. So tomorrow we're doing some more on this. We're gonna have some more. I got some more content. We're gonna speak about this. We're going back to the review. We have to show our respect to Pistol Pete. You know what I'm saying? He copped out to that shit. You know what I'm saying? Definitely salute to Pete. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? I can't be biased here. Salute to Pete. Salute to my man K Money Bags, Blazers. Salute to all the original Blazers, Minnesota, and a whole bunch. Hell yeah. So tomorrow we on and popping. Shout out to East Harlem. Shout out to my man Hector Mendez. Shout out to my man Ed Medina. For East Harlem, my man Gary Medina, Ariel, 131, Wiggs, 131, Chola, 131, the PT 131 crew. Shout out to Spoke, Kilo. Rest in peace to Shop TWB. Rest in peace to Superman from the Hilltop and Lexington Projects, Washington, Lexington House. Shout out to my man Jamal White. He's on the radio in Connecticut, my block. Definitely shout out to those are Shell Brothers, Rodney, Raw Clip, Rodney Shell. Shout out to my man East Side Red. Shout out to Mook Banger out there on the check-in. It's a good show right here, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. A lot of dudes just telling, man. That's a piece of Ant White, you know what I'm saying, Free Fire. Shout out to my man Hakeem, you heard? From my block. My man Mankind, the two Desperados, Free YB. We here, you know what I'm saying? Nothing but love, man. Free YB. Shout out to Hassan Campbell, you know, and projects over there, you know, that territory over there, you know, Bronx River. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Your Bronx niggas give niggas a headache going to that White Castles in the early 90s. That's a front of a lot of good niggas at that White Castle off the Brooklyn. I'm just gonna let you niggas know. Niggas had to pull up to that fucking White Castles, crewed up, bro, mobbed up. Let's get some White Castle burgers, because you niggas is wild, bro. But I'm gonna tell you who I seen in there a couple of times. Now, actually, shout out to Dublin Cloud Chaser, Clubhouse. But he has a YouTube channel. You know, used to be in there a lot. Your man Drag On. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll see Drag On in there with them niggas on that side. Yes, now White Castle, she get to go mobbed up, bro. Going from Manhattan, at least. As crazy as it sounds, that part of the Bronx is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? What's that shit y'all was going through back in the days? When you're crossing tracks in Soundview, and you went to the side with the Bruckner, the other side of the Bruckner. It wasn't, the project is dangerous. Well, what block is that? They said it was mad Spanish niggas. They used to fight against dudes coming from the projects. What's the name of that block? What's the name of that block? When you walk over the bridge by like on the Bruckner from that side of the Bruckner where the co-ops is at, and you walk over. Yeah, shout out to Jaguar. Watson. Yo, son. Dudes like to shake out with those when you want to cross some tracks, across that bridge on the Bruckner Highway, the Bruckner turns into, I think, I-95, if I'm correct. When you keep going north towards Co-op City, you gotta make them turns by Throisdex and all that shit. That shit turn like the Bruckner actually goes into 95, I believe. I used to live in Co-op City, but Watson. Yo, dudes like to shake out with those dudes in Watson. That's going to cross that bridge. You know what I'm saying? Definitely shout out to Watson and the BX. You know what I'm saying? But y'all know better than I know. You know what I'm saying? But that part of the Bronx is dangerous. There's a train stop over there too. It starts with it starts with the E, right? What train stop? I know it's the 6th line you go to, but which 6th line? If I'm coming from that side of Sound, that across the bridge, what part of What train station is that? It's a train station over there. If I had to walk through there, if I had to go through and I get beat the fuck up on Watson, I had to walk all the way to the 6th line. Elder, facts. Yep, Elder. If I made it past Watson and Soundview Morrison, facts, but Elder. It's Elder or Sound. Those two train stops, boy. When you made it past Watson, you was good. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That Watson shit was crazy. Definitely, man. Yo, tomorrow morning, let's have the same energy. I'll be back. We're going to do the CB trial testimonies. cstacks talks about Pistol Pete's son. With that being said, I'm happy Mo pulled up. I'm happy the BX pulled up. Definitely shout out to the Ghost Town G's, right? With that being said, I appreciate y'all. Rest in peace, Fred the Godson. Go support my man, I'm 5 Footer, the host of the year. He's a rapper. He's from East Harlem and the Bronx. So definitely shout out to see, sometimes we do our due diligence. Yeah. Yeah, shit is crazy, man. Yeah, facts. I was in the penitentiary. I remember when all that situation was happening. There was a guy he was talking about. Mello was popping. There was a guy he used to talk about. Oh man, Fats or something. Fats something. Did he get caught up in that case? Some guy. There was a guy that got caught up in that name. I guess his name was popular. You know what I'm saying? At that point in time. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely in the building. Tomorrow, it's all have the same energy. Let's have the same energy. Shout out to the Bronx, Ghost Town G's, free Pistol Pete, you know what I'm saying? Free the church, you heard? Remember, he comes from that clearance, you know what I'm saying? Remember when spots is popping? Remember the Savoy, Skate Key. Debbie, you know what? Nobody ever talk about this, not changing the subject, but Empire Skating Rink was just like the rooftop, bro. The who's who of Brooklyn would be in Empire Skating Rink. Just to let you know that by Ebbets Field. Shout out to Ebbets Field right there in Brooklyn. We keep etching Ebony Empire Skating Rink out of New York history when it comes to that generation. But Empire was Popino too. You heard? Now let's get back to the facts. You know what I'm saying? The 110th Street party, center party. Shout out to my man Sean Berg and all that. Sean Berg. We come from that. This is where we come from. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This is the cloth that we come from. So with that being said, you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Exactly. Don't let us become a victim. Exactly. With that being said, after dark, boom. That being said, peace. Shout out to the BX, you heard? No, not yet. Shout out to Wifey, Southern Belle, West Side St. Louis. Let me salute the Wifey. I love you, Wifey, Southern Belle. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Remember, we was outside. We know, Mo. We was outside, man. But he said 10473. Isn't that Co-op City? 10473. That's Co-op City, right? You know what I'm saying? I think that's Co-op City. I'm telling you. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Tomorrow we're doing another show, Mo. We're doing another show. You could be taking this to Pistol Pete Sensitive. Oh, that sound view 10473. So what the fuck is? So what's? Definitely. See, you know what I'm saying? Empire Skating Rink. Salute, First Empire. Yeah, they're part of history. There's some stories that come out of there too. So every piece of the gods, piece of Allah born. You heard? Happy birthday, happy belated 50th birthday, 50 years of Flav. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Flav. Definitely happy birthday to my man Flav. That sounds boom. Definitely 50 years of Flav, you heard? Rest in peace of Double D's and all that. So with that being said, tomorrow we on and popping. We are on and Popino. Definitely shout out to P and Stricken Mentality in Clubhouse. Shout out to Push That Knife, you know, Tip the Gift, and my man Iced Out Wavy. Definitely shout out to Tierra, Joy, Big Juice, Stricken Mentality, Highness, LB, you know, Stack Stove, man, God to King. Stones to the Bones in the building. We in the building, the 050 the movement, you heard? Nothing else is moving. Heavy on the movement, heavy on the sleeves. Not the sleeve, but heavy on the 050, you heard? Heavy on the glico, heavy on the glico. It's different texture, different cloth. Rest in peace to CB Moms, man. Rest in peace to CB Moms, you heard? With that being said, I appreciate everybody that pulled up. Check out my man, Definitely Cloud Chaser on Clubhouse. E-Bands pulled up the other day. Go check out E-Bands in Clubhouse. With that being said, I appreciate y'all. Tomorrow morning, we back with the Blazers, you heard? We back with the blazer. Shout out to my man, Grown Man Talk. Rest in peace of C. Watts, word. Rest in peace of C. Watts. That being said, man, peace. Shout out to Brooklyn, my man Saladin and all that. 05 Voter Movement. You already know what they doing over there, doing some things over there, you know. You know what I'm saying? China, Harlem Legend, Plant and Shine. We got my man Saladin. We got Smitty Blow Dollars. We're just doing the things that need to be done. Shout out to Wax AP, you heard? Shout out to Wax AP, the boys out there in New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? I remember when dudes were scared to go to Jersey because dudes are still, you either gonna get robbed or you gonna get carjacked. That New Jersey drive shit was a real thing. It was a real conversation out there in Jersey. You know, so you might have went to the Passaic Mall, you might have went to the Garden State Mall, but anything Jersey City, Newark, and certain parts like that, it was dirty, dingy, and dangerous. That being said, shout out to my man Yusuf, the ox and all that. That being said, man, we in the building, man. You know what I'm saying? It's Feed the fucking wolves. The wolf catch. I just said content. The video I made with the OG Unique Maker Audio. We in the building to feed the fucking wolves. And don't forget to check out Crown Court CV. He got the content. It's Crown Court CV. It's easy. Go check it out. He got the whole case for you guys. He has the whole case. I see them all. Be there or be square.